ready to boost your English. We're diving deep into a YouTube video, just bursting with tips.
It's like having a language coach right in your pocket.
Minus the awkward silence, right? And today we're all about getting to the good stuff, the tips that really make a difference.
What struck me about this video is it's not about rushing to fluency. It's about really enjoying the process, building a solid foundation.
I like that. It starts off talking about how important listening is.
Oh, yeah.
The creator even shares this story about how listening to English stories helped them overcome this fear of the language they had.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
It really highlights how important training your ear is before you even think about like speaking or writing,
Right, okay.
Confidently, getting used to the sounds, the rhythm. It's almost like learning an instrument,
Totally. Like you wouldn't expect to just sit down at a piano and play Beethoven, right? if you'd never even heard it.
Exactly.
So what kind of stuff do you think people could listen to based on what they already enjoy?
Oh, there's a ton of stuff. Podcasts, music, obviously, audiobooks, like pretty much anything you're into, there's probably an English version out there waiting.
Okay, so we've got listening covered, but this video is all about active learning.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about passively absorbing, right?
Uh-huh.
The creator even says, making mistakes is a good thing.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
It's like having a growth mindset, where you see mistakes as part of the process, not as failures.
Totally. It reminds me when I was learning guitar, I was so scared of hitting the wrong note that I basically wasn't making any progress.
Yeah. You got to get those mistakes out of the way.
It wasn't until I stopped worrying and just played, even if it sounded terrible, that I actually started to improve.
Exactly. It's like with language. Don't be afraid to speak, even if you stumble or mess up the grammar.
Yeah.
Just use it.
The more you use it, the better you get, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, get this. The video throws a whole bunch of activities out there. Reading, writing, watching videos, talking to people.
It's a lot.
It is. But don't worry, we're going to break it down.
Yeah, I think a good way to think about it is like input and output.
Yeah.
Reading and watching videos, that's input, right? That's how you're exposed to new words. And then writing and speaking, that's your output. That's where you actually put it into practice.
So it's like a cycle, input, output.
Exactly, a cycle.
Makes sense. Now, the video has some really practical examples for each. For reading, it suggests starting with simple books, especially for beginners, ones with pictures.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
That's a good way to kind of understand the story, even if you don't know every single word.
Absolutely. Visuals help so much.
What about writing?
Keep a journal. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just a way to write down your thoughts in English every day.
Okay, so we've got reading, writing. What about for those visual learners out there?
The video suggests watching cartoons or movies with subtitles. That way you see the words while you're hearing them.
Okay.
Helps with the pronunciation too.
And then, of course, we can't forget about actually speaking. I bet you've got some good advice for that.
Oh, yeah. The video highlights finding an online language partner.
Right.
For conversation practice. So you actually have someone to talk to.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's the ultimate test, putting all that practice into action. Now, this video goes beyond the basics too, and it gives some pretty unique tips. One that really stood out to me was think in English.
Oh, yeah.
What does that even mean?
It's like you consciously make the effort to think in English instead of translating from your native language. You're literally rewiring your brain for fluency.
So it's like you're not relying on that translator in your head anymore.
Exactly. And that makes a big difference in how naturally you speak and understand.
Another one was about setting goals.
Yeah.
The video really emphasizes having something specific to aim for.
That's key.
Yeah.
It's all about, knowing what motivates you.
Right.
Do deadlines get you going? Do you need to visually track your progress? Just tailor those goals to fit you.
I like that. Tailor it to you. So, for example, if you're a gamer, you could maybe aim to learn 5 new words related to your favorite game each day.
Oh, that's a good one.
Or, if you're really social, maybe challenge yourself to have a short conversation in English with someone new every week.
I love those examples.
Now, speaking of games, the video also stresses how important having fun is while learning.
Absolutely.
It even suggests playing games in English.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Because then you're learning, but you're having so much fun, you forget you're learning.
Right.
It's the best way.
And lastly, the video encourages you to surround yourself with English as much as possible.
Yes. Immersion.
Yeah.
That could mean changing your phone settings,
Yeah.
to English, listening to English music in the background, podcasts, even just putting little English labels on things around your house.
I like that.
It's all about that constant exposure.
It's about making it part of your life. Now, these are some seriously good tips, but we have to remember, learning a language, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
True, true.
And this is where I think the video's emphasis on mindset really comes in.
Yeah.
It's all about staying positive and patient.
It's huge. You will get frustrated at times,
Oh, yeah.
discouraged, even want to give up. It happens to all of us.
For sure. Countless times when I've been learning things. I remember when I was trying to learn French, I hit this wall. I felt like I wasn't making any progress. I almost gave up.
Oh, it's so common.
What would you have told me back then?
I would have said, first of all, it's okay to take a break. Sometimes you just need to step away, come back with fresh eyes, and, remember why you started learning in the first place.
Okay, good advice.
Yeah.
And once you're back in the game, how do you stay motivated?
Focus on the progress you've already made, no matter how small. Even learning one new word a day is a step forward. It all adds up.
So for everyone out there on their English learning journey, remember to celebrate those successes,
Yes.
both big and small. And don't forget to enjoy the ride, right?
That's what it's all about. Yeah, it really is. It's about those aha moments, when you finally get something,
Totally.
like leveling up, but in real life.
Okay, so we talked about the big picture stuff, the mindset, active learning, input, output. But this video's got a ton of practical tips too. One that caught my eye was using a dictionary.
The dictionary.
Yeah, I know it seems kind of old school.
Old school.
Right, in the age of Google Translate and all.
Right.
But it's still a valuable tool. The video suggests don't just look up the meaning, but pay attention to the pronunciation, and then try to use it in a sentence right away.
It's like taking the word for a test drive.
Yeah.
Instead of just passively reading the definition. You're really engaging with it.
Right, you're making it your own.
Exactly. And that helps you remember it.
Another one was repeating phrases out loud. Sounds simple, but I can see how that would be really helpful.
Repetition is key.
Yeah.
Especially for language learning. You're strengthening those connections in your brain.
It's like building muscle memory, but for language.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Language muscles.
The more you repeat, the easier it becomes,
Yeah.
right? The video even suggests singing songs in English.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, turn it into karaoke night.
I love that.
And speaking of creativity, the video also says, try making up little stories using the words you've learned.
Ah, that's cute.
Yeah, it's like playing with language.
Yeah.
And what if stories aren't your thing? What about acting out scenes from like movies or TV shows?
Oh, even better. That's next level.
Yeah.
Helps with pronunciation, fluency, maybe even your acting skills. And then, of course, we've got to mention games again.
Yes, games.
So good for learning.
It's like you're so focused on having fun that you don't even realize you're learning. Now, along with the fun stuff, the video also stresses staying organized.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah.
Especially when there's so much information out there, it's easy to get overwhelmed.
Right.
Keep your nights together.
Yeah.
Make lists of words. Have a study schedule,
So it's about creating a routine.
Yes, routine.
And don't be afraid to experiment, right?
Yeah.
Find what works for you.
Oh, yeah.
Some people like flashcards, some people like mind maps.
Exactly. Whatever keeps you motivated.
And speaking of motivation, the video really emphasizes celebrating your progress.
Every little win.
Yeah, even the small stuff.
Yes.
It's easy to get caught up in like the daily grind and forget to acknowledge how far you've come.
Totally.
Celebrate those milestones, whether it's learning a new word, finishing a chapter in a book, or having a conversation.
It's a big deal.
It is. Now, let's be real. Learning a new language can be tough. There are going to be times when you feel frustrated, discouraged, maybe even tempted to give up. How do you deal with those moments?
You got to be kind to yourself. Remember why you started and focus on the progress, not the mistakes.
It's easy to get down on ourselves when we make those mistakes.
Yeah, but they're proof that you're learning. You're pushing yourself.
Even native English speakers make mistakes.
Oh, all the time.
So no one's perfect. Any advice for getting over that fear of making mistakes? Because I know that can really hold people back.
Focus on communicating, not on being perfect. It's more important to get your message across than to worry about grammar.
It's about being understood.
Yes. And most people are more interested in what you have to say than how perfectly you say it.
Another tip was to reframe those mistakes. Instead of seeing them as setbacks, see them as evidence that you're actually learning.
I like that. Proof of growth.
Yeah, you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Okay, we've talked about mindset, active learning, practical tips, and even those mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
What else does the video highlight?
It talks a lot about consistency.
Oh, yeah.
It's better to study a little bit every day than to cram for hours once a week.
It's like working out a muscle, right?
Totally.
Regular exercise is what gives you strength.
Exactly. Even if it's just 15 minutes a day, it adds up.
And the video even has these clever little ways to kind of sneak in study time, like reviewing flashcards while you're waiting in line.
Well, I like that.
Or listening to a podcast while you're doing chores.
Perfect.
Turn everyday activities into learning opportunities.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there's no substitute for actually using English in real-life situations.
Right.
Talking to English-speaking friends, ordering food at a restaurant, even striking up conversations with strangers.
Putting yourself out there.
It can be nerve-wracking, but also so rewarding.
Right.
What if you don't live in an English-speaking country, though?
Well, the video suggests joining online groups or attending conversation meetups, even just watching movies with subtitles. It's all about creating that immersive environment.
Even if you're not surrounded by English speakers.
Right.
And I love how the video encourages you to be open to learning about different cultures, too. It's not just about the language itself.
Absolutely. Language is so tied to culture, and you get a deeper appreciation for it when you understand where it comes from.
It's like adding another dimension to the whole learning experience. Speaking of discovery, the video also says, stay curious, ask questions.
Oh, always. Curiosity is key.
Yeah.
It's what makes us want to learn, to explore new things.
Don't be afraid to ask those silly questions either. There's no such thing as a dumb question.
I agree.
Okay, this video has been amazing. Any last nuggets of wisdom you want to share before we wrap up?
One more. Oh, flashcards. They're classic for a reason.
Flashcards, yeah.
Simple but effective, great for memorizing vocabulary, grammar rules, and you can use them anywhere.
I used to make flashcards for everything in school. I even would add little drawings to help me remember.
Oh, that's cute. The video suggests doing that, personalizing them, whatever helps you remember.
And speaking of helpful tools, the video also mentions all those online resources. There's websites, apps, videos, everything.
So many options. It's amazing.
And a lot of them are free, which is great.
Yeah.
But it also acknowledges the value of, those traditional learning materials, textbooks, workbooks.
Yeah, those can be good for a more structured approach.
Right. And they often have exercises and activities. And we can't forget the power of reading.
Oh, reading's huge for vocabulary, grammar, everything.
It really is. The video encourages you to start with materials that are at your level and then gradually increase the difficulty.
Makes sense.
And don't be afraid to reread stuff you've enjoyed.
Oh, yeah.
Each time you go back, you might pick up on something new.
Exactly.
Speaking of revisiting things, the video also emphasizes that listening practice.
So important.
Yeah, we touched on it earlier,
We did.
but it's worth repeating. Training your ear to understand spoken English is crucial.
It is.
It suggests listening to all sorts of things. Podcasts, audiobooks, the news, even movies and TV shows.
All of it.
And don't get discouraged if you don't understand everything at first. It's like the more you listen, the easier it becomes.
Exactly. It's training your ear.
Don't just passively listen either, right?
Right.
Like take notes, summarize what you heard,
Yeah.
even repeat phrases out loud.
It helps you process it.
Yeah. Speaking of active engagement, we can't leave out speaking practice.
The big one?
Yeah. It's where a lot of language learners kind of stumble. But it's so important.
It is. For fluency, for confidence, for everything, the video really encourages you to find opportunities to speak as much as possible, even if it feels awkward at first. It's like anything else. The more you practice, the more comfortable you become. And be patient with yourself. Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
We've talked about mistakes.
We have
They're part of the process.
a big part,
Everyone makes them.
even native speakers.
So any advice for getting over that fear?
Focus on the communication, not on being perfect.
Okay.
It's about being understood.
Yeah.
And most people are more interested in what you have to say than in how perfectly you say it.
Right. Content over perfection. The video also suggests kind of reframing those mistakes. Instead of seeing them as setbacks, see them as evidence that you're learning, that you're pushing yourself.
I love that. It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. And the video also talks about staying motivated, especially when you're in it for the long haul. which learning a language is.
It is a long game.
How do you stay focused and inspired along the way?
Find what really inspires you, and hold on to that. Is it a dream of traveling, connecting with people from different cultures, just expanding your knowledge?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, use that to fuel your efforts. And don't forget to celebrate the wins along the way. All those little milestones show how much you're achieving.
Celebrations are always good. What about setting goals? How do you make sure you're on track without getting overwhelmed?
The video stresses setting realistic goals.
Okay.
It's better to start small and gradually increase the difficulty than to aim for fluency right away.
So like learn 5 new words a day
Yeah.
instead of trying to have like a super complex conversation.
Exactly. Baby steps, and you'll build confidence as you go.
And don't be afraid to adjust those goals. Right?
Yeah.
If something's too easy, bump it up. If it's too hard, break it down.
Exactly. It's all about finding that balance. And speaking of balance, the video also talks about taking breaks.
Breaks are important.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to get so caught up in studying that we forget to rest.
Yeah, but those breaks are important for staying focused.
Totally. When you're feeling burnt out, step away. Do something you enjoy.
Yeah, recharge.
Come back with fresh energy, and don't forget to reward yourself, too,
Oh, yeah?
for all that hard work. Give yourself something nice when you hit a big milestone. Speaking of journeys, the video also emphasizes that everyone's path is unique.
For sure.
Some people might progress faster than others, and that's okay.
It is. Don't compare yourself. Focus on your own journey. Celebrate your own wins.
It's your adventure. Now, speaking of progress, the video has some tips for keeping track of it. One of them is to keep a language learning journal.
Oh, a journal.
Yeah, what a great way to kind of reflect on your experiences. See how much you've grown over time.
I love that.
It's a tangible record of your journey. Another one is to use online tools, all those language learning apps and websites,
Oh, yeah.
to track your progress. They can give you insights into your strengths and weaknesses
Exactly.
and also help keep you motivated.
Yeah, because you can see your progress visually.
And speaking of getting feedback, the video also stresses the importance of asking for it. From teachers, tutors, language partners, even just native speakers.
It can be intimidating, but it's so valuable.
It can be.
Don't be afraid to ask.
It's like having another set of eyes and ears
Exactly.
to help you see what you might be missing.
And remember, feedback is a gift.
It is. It's an opportunity to learn. Okay, so we've covered a lot. Mindset, motivation, practical tips, overcoming challenges, feedback. What's the overall takeaway here?
I think it's this. Learning English is a rewarding journey that's full of possibilities.
Yeah, it's not just about memorizing words and grammar.
Right.
It's about expanding your world, connecting with new people and cultures.
It changes how you see things.
It really does. And the video reminds us that while the journey might be bumpy, it's ultimately up to us to make the most of it.
I love that. We have the power.
We do. Embrace the challenge, enjoy the process, and celebrate all those steps along the way.
One thing that really stood out to me in this video is how it encourages you to be proactive.
Oh, yeah, like take charge of your learning.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just about, passively taking in information. You got to go out there and find those opportunities to practice, to improve.
It's like, don't just wait for fluency to happen, make it happen.
Right. The video's got all these ideas, listen to podcasts, write stories, even act in English.
Like you get to choose your own adventure, but for language learning.
Exactly. You pick what works for you. What else did I like? Oh, the video talks about focusing on one thing at a time.
That's a good one because it can be so overwhelming.
It really can.
Yeah.
Where do you even begin?
Right. So the video says break it down.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe one day you focus on vocab, the next day it's grammar.
Good.
Then you have a day for conversation.
Makes sense. Smaller chunks.
Exactly. It feels less daunting. And the video also talks about those times when you're just tired or frustrated.
Which, let's be honest, happens to everyone. Oh, yeah. It's part of the process. So what do? The video says, take a break.
Ooh, good advice. It's easy to think you have to study every single day, no matter what.
Yeah, but sometimes a break is what you need to come back stronger.
Okay, so we've got be proactive, focus on one thing at a time, take breaks. Anything else?
Oh, the journal.
The journal, yeah.
Keep a journal in English.
What a good way to practice writing.
It is. And to track your progress, you can write about anything. Your day, your thoughts, even just list new words. It's amazing to look back later and see how far you've come.
It's like a little snapshot of your journey. I love that. Any other tips?
Oh, yeah. The video says, listen to yourself
Okay.
when you speak, when you read out loud.
Like pay attention to how you sound.
Yeah, it helps you with your pronunciation.
You hear those little things you might not notice otherwise.
Exactly. You can even record yourself and listen back. I know it's a little awkward.
I'll bet.
But it's helpful. But even with all the self-improvement stuff, the video says don't compare yourself to others.
Oh yeah. Comparison is the thief of joy. It's so easy to do that.
It is. But it just makes you feel bad. Everyone learns differently, at their own pace.
You got to run your own race. Celebrate your own wins.
Exactly. Be kind to yourself. Remember, learning a language takes time.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
So much good advice in this video.
So much.
It's not just about learning English. It's about learning how to learn, really.
That's true. Cultivating that growth mindset.
And the love of language.
Oh, absolutely. It's about the joy of discovery, the excitement of connecting with new people, new ideas.
So for all of you out there on this language learning adventure, remember to take inspiration from this video. Embrace those mistakes. Celebrate every win.
And remember, the most important step is the one you take today. So what small action will you commit to doing today?
To boost your English skills, share your thoughts, connect with other learners in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Happy learning, everyone.